we're definitely spoiled for choice, and both these teams will be spoiled for choice as well as we head into the first draft of the Honor of Kings Invitational Season 1.
First draft, and what's the first pick we see on NRX again, Zero? It's my new favorite pickup in competitive solo queue. It is done coming through there. A great thing about this champion being first pick, I feel, is because he can be flex. He could be even Clash Lane, or later on down the in the draft, he could then be changed into the jungle. So we see that come through for NRX, but the two prio bans there is the Jing and Pei.
Yeah, even you can sometimes flex it to a support role as well. He doesn't do too bad in that regard. But let's see what BJK answers with. They banned out the Princess Frost and Da Xiao and picked up the Arlie and Mai for themselves. So very early, fast tempo, very mobile two heroes to start up.
Absolutely, but I feel like if they want this Arlie to work, like we saw yesterday in the mock-up match, we may feel that the Arlie may have to go into the mid lane in that early 1 to 2 minute mark just to get a little bit of the extra gold to try and match up against the Direnji, because Direnji is a great champion, a great hero, down in the farm lane to go against Arlie. And we see Little Luke come through on the side of NRX. So Little Luke is going to be the roam this time around, and they lock in Lamb on the side of BJK.
You wanted a true assassin. This is the true assassin. Lamb being played in the jungle will be a huge threat to steal on the Direnji, because he has so much physical burst, doesn't really rely on stuns, something that Direnji excels against, which is debuffing stuns that's put on himself. But Lamb is just all damage, all physical damage, all burst, and not much control for himself. That's why he has the Mai to help him out with the roaming, and I'm pretty sure they'll pick up a Clash laner that has plenty of crowd control as well.
Absolutely. I mean, we still have two bans open, but Charlotte is now been hit with the ban hammer, but we still have the likes of Byron up for grabs. I mean, he is a huge pick in the Clash lane and has been for quite some time in the meta. But we see the Dr. Vian fall through there, so another mid laner gone on the side of NRX. A great damage over time champion. As long as you can have that positioning within team fights, you can heal your team as well when you stack those marks.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, on the side of NRX, they ban out the Moses as well as the Dolia. So banning out mainly supports on their end. And it's going to be interesting to see, because they are still lacking a mid laner here. And there's not much left in the pool. Maybe something like a Zhou Yu or Gun and Maul being picked up could be a potential two heroes that NRX are thinking of. And they're also lacking of a Clash lane or jungle for themselves as well.
Absolutely. I mean, back onto the Lamb pick here, it's going to be interesting to see if BJK are going to build it like the Chinese client, because as I understand from a few players, from what I learned, that Lamb actually scales in a different stat on the Turkey, on the global server, where he's mainly built as a tank. So as we see, his kit is very assassin-like. He is still built to be at the front part of that team, and he is going to be complemented with the Mulan pick up in the Clash lane, and Sun Bing gets locked in as the roam.
Yep, NRX answers with a Byron and Xiao Qiao towards the mid lane, and yeah, like there's plenty of burst coming from the side of NRX, but and the side of BJK, they're not very tanky in their own right as well. I mean, Mulan isn't the tankiest Clash lane on its own. If he does do well in 1v1 scenarios and he uses his skills right, but against the amount of burst coming from NRX and the control as well. I mean, having Dun, Byron, and Xiao Qiao as your three main cores, that is a lot of crowd control that all these three heroes can bring to the table.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like we're going to be seeing at least one of these teams have their jungle escort their Clash lane up into the Clash lane, as we've seen previously and in previous matches, where we actually have the jungler help out the Clash lane, or the Clash lane go in.
But burst off the wave by herself, they might be, the tempo might be slowed down just with this hero. See what will happen as we head into the gold forge for game 1 of this best of 3 series.
Absolutely. It's definitely history in the making here. In first match, in the Season 1 Invitational in Istanbul 2024 as well. So this is all history in the making right now. Whatever happens in these matches are huge. And it's going to be one of the first things that is going to be noted when people think about Season 1 Invitational. Is all about these early moves, these early metas, and these early champion picks as well.
And look at that, NRX playing fast, going to invade the Might Golem on the side of BJK. So the jungle on the side of BJK is going to be starving, popping Uden taking a lot of that damage, but should not be falling here. Level 2 already on the Yao as well as the loot. Not knocking anyone down.
Oh, okay. Byron taking a lot of damage. There's a CC. He's having to force the flash away. Croft 2v1 up in the clash lane, but he's coming here with a 3v1 onto the Direnji. Have that CC immunity. He has Purify now, quite yet. Rekna falls down as well, so it is a 1v1 trade, 3-4 minutes already, and this was the aggression, this was the ferocity that we was on about yesterday in these mock-up matches that we're seeing, and it is translating through to day one, which I'm all here for. It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, Attic's very great play there. Recognizing that his Great Buff was already stolen, immediately went to gank the bottom lane, getting some pressure for himself. Urian in the mid lane still will be getting the kill with the rotating towards the mid, and that is going to get themselves a second kill and a 500 gold lead to start off with.
Once again, this Byron's getting his fair shares of uneven advantages up in the clash lane, and BJK taking another kill there for themselves, but soon we see Xiao Zhao take a kill. Trade there. It is a 2-on-1 currently, but Mai is trying to clean up this clash lane brawl, but Dun comes through with a double kill with that ultimate skill coming through for the CC onto Mai, saying, "You're not going anywhere. We are taking some more kills from you."
Yeah, 5-3 right now in terms of kill score, and the goal lead is 1,000 points away of NRX. They are off to a fantastic start, something that the Deering Jin loves, is getting a great start because he becomes very hard to deal with later on in the game, not to mention having to deal with little loot as well. You have to build the Venomous Staff, you have to build anti-healing on your RD as well. So they have plenty of things to have to build, and with the tempo that NRX is playing, it might be a bit too fast for BJK to deal with.
Yeah, they're finding it hard to catch a breath. I mean, we're seeing some solid trades here, but it always seems to go into the favor of NRX. But I mean, what do we expect from a team that has the knowledge to go and invade the enemy's red buff, because they know Lamb's not going to go for it, because Lamb is heavily reliant on that blue buff early game.
In the bottom lane, ooh, a lot of damage being dealt there to E2JJ, and he almost falls, but the Sunmin there able to force him back for just for a while. But with this amount of pressure towards the bottom lane, Urian might fall. Good, go straight towards the backline, stuns up the Arlie, and Arlie should fall here. Will also bring down the other support. Urian will fall as well, and this Dun is having the time of his life. I think 4 kills already on him at this point in the game, and they will be pressuring the bottom tier 1 tower as well. Rekna almost getting a kill on first move, but the tower is not going to be able to hit Fu in the end, and the kill will be able to
didn't quite manage to take out Fu there, but it was a well played there for Rekna to actually try and survive that 3v1 engage there, but Dun just nicely doing it over the wall with that ultimate, be able to pull himself into the lane. There's no running the roads. He has all the shortcuts. However, BJK do manage to pick up the tyrant there, but I feel like that is needed for this team for that extra damage onto the likes of the Arlie, onto the likes of Lam as well. And obviously, it's always going to implement Mai, because Mai is very strong from level 1. So having that tyrant, getting that damage increase and movement speed is definitely something to be sought for here. But first turret takedown does go to BJK. So they're not quite all about the brawls, but their laning phase is definitely working well.
Absolutely, and looks like BJK was able to walk away getting the bottom kill on tower, and might be able to contest the mid lane tower as well. The buff will still be here for another 30 seconds or so, but it looks like the rotations are heading towards the top, where Mulan has been actually just dealing a lot of pressure towards Buggy. Buggy hasn't really been able to stand on his own against the two heroes that BJK did start off with on the Clash lane. So a little bit of a advantage going towards the way of BJK is that this Mulan is almost fully online.
Yeah, I think that's the whole way of actually countering the Byron pick here, is just keeping main pressure onto him so he can't push those lanes, because he's one of those champions that if you just leave him, just leave him in the Clash lane, he is just going to do maximum damage. But E2JJ here having to flash out with the Ali ult to reposition himself. He manages to survive from Boogie here. It's another 4v3 going to take place in the Clash lane. Clash lane is the place to be. It is the party. 0307 comes in, but we see Fu taking to the kill onto Ryan there. So picking up another kill for NRX. They are still in the lead with the kills and still ahead with the goal.
All things considered, I think BJK will be happy with that. Just losing the support, not really. That could have gone way worse with 5 heroes rotating towards the top lane. They did lose the tier 1 tower in the top, but that allowed the Lamb to continue farming up. And once the Lamb reaches his critical mass, he's going to be dealing a lot of damage. And that's what BJK is primarily playing for. Something, just playing for the late game and hoping that they're able to take the fights later on.
Absolutely. I mean, there seems to be a heavy focus between these two teams up in the Clash lane, but look what Mulan's managed to do down in the farm lane. She's taken both first and second tier turret, which is going to be opening up that enemy jungle, at least the red side of the enemy jungle, wide open and very accessible for BJK going into the late game. So these late game ganks, when we get that 10-minute mark, it's going to be a pretty huge advantage here for BJK.
Mid lane, both teams poised to try and take a fight here. All the ultimates are up on all sides, so this is going to be a very important clash, because if NRX loses this tier 1 tower, they are, like you said earlier, the jungle in the bottom side is already very exposed, but losing that mid tier 1 tower will just make the Tyrant Overlord fights really hard for NRX. They need to keep this tower up as long as possible, because it is just too much map control to lose.
Oh, massively. So much map control, but I really think BJK has actually found the method to knock the wind out the sails of NRX, because if you look at that early game tempo, like 3-4 minutes, the aggression was so crazy. But now, because BJK have managed to put a huge amount of pressure onto their farm lane, and also looking to do it into the mid lane, not quite yet being able to acquire that turret, but I feel like that's really upset the tempo of NRX, and it stopped them in their tracks.
Still dropping very low from that, but he did manage to steal the Might Golem buff, so small victories here for the side of NRX, and it looks like with that buff, maybe they want to try and contest this mid-tier 1 tower, but everybody on the side of BJK is already here. Lamb from the backline, huge outlet pushing them into the tower, but they do not manage to bring down any of the cores yet. Lamb will fall, Dun almost dying there, but the shields that he's able to put out way too much. The Demon Jet doing a lot of damage. Here comes the Mulan towards the backline. Buggy has to back off, but that will be the end. They will trade 2 for 2 here, and things will continue on.
Absolutely, 2v2, complete madness, and I think this is the beauty of Honor of Kings, is just so much happens in such short time. Like, it's not even the pace of 10 seconds, but you see at least like 12 skills go off here. There's ultimates from Xiao Xiao coming off, and then we see the Lamb come through with the ultimate at the same time, pushing them into the turret, but not quite securing as much kills as they probably hoped for. I think BJK there were potentially looking for a more like a 3 kill there rather than the 2, or even a 4-2 trade would have been amazing for them, especially now that the Overlord's up. It is going to go down very quickly, but if that was the scenario that did take place, they could have definitely rotated over to the Overlord, taken that, and pushed these turrets even further.
Yeah, they definitely were looking for a more one-sided fight there, but 2 for 2 was the only bargain that both these teams can get, so they'll just have to work with it. Bottom lane, look at the gold lead right now. It has swung all the way towards the way of BJK. They've just been able to play more around the map. They've been able to rotate to get on farm across all 3 lanes, and that has led them to take this slight gold lead since the start of the game. It's always been the side of NRX, but BJK right now with the superior map movement has reached the point where they are confident enough to play on all 3 sides of the map.
Absolutely. Opening that map up is definitely, they were looking at the long-term plan rather than the short-term plan, which is what NRX was definitely doing in that early game, especially with the amount of aggression they were having in those team fights, those early rotations into lanes, those ganks. But now BJK here potentially going for another team fight. Byron is in there. Boogie is a little bit too close for comfort with that turret, but the Derenji taking out Ollie under the turret there, and NRX are actually going to open up their enemy jungle, but it may be traded for their second tier Clash Lane turret up in the Clash Lane, obviously, and Mulan does manage to do it. So that's, once again, those borders are definitely getting stripped away here from NRX, but they are still in this fight. I don't think it's over for them yet.
A dead even game right now in terms of the gold tower objectives. Of course, BJK has been able to get all the side lane towers, except for the tier 3s, of course, and they will trade off the Tyrant for the Overlord as well. But BJK might try and contest this, looking greedy, and they should be able to get it. NRX will be able to get it with the smite used there by the Hook, just securing it, making sure there's no shenanigans, no steals coming from the Lamb.
Yeah, I feel like the Mai had the way in there, but I think it was all down to little Loot's stun. So it was just a second stun, but it stopped the whole play there from Rekner, which I thought was a very nice touch there by NRX. Loved it.
Mid lane, the stun on towards the Sun Bin. Urian will fall through, doing too much damage on the Angela, on the Xiao Qiao, and they will try and continue pressuring on this mid-tier 2 tower. But the rotations from the Lan and the Mulan's coming in. He's joining the fight this time. He's not still pushing on towards the side lanes. He wants to contribute to this team fight.
Yeah, no, they're down a teammate. We see that Dumba's trying to freeze the lane there, trying to stop those minions coming through to meet the vanguards at the tier 1 turret down in the farm lane. But NRX are looking to pick up a second tier turret here. We see that still manages to take that mid lane, whilst we have the vanguards pushing up into the Clash lane as well. So even though they didn't do too great with the lane pushing here, they are definitely coming back, and they have forced the Rekner out of that whole fight by doing so much damage to that Mai. It is a 4-on-5 fight here because we have Lamb just trying to pause that minion wave in the mid lane, but again, knock up onto the Sunbin. Uriah has gone down. Crucial crowd control here for Little Loot with that knock-on stun. But we have Byron going in, trying to keep and maintain, but Boogie goes down. We see that Lamb comes back into the fight. BJK are here to just keep their other higher ground turrets going. Oh my gosh, so much was going on in that team fight.
Lamb is just such a scary assassin to play against. Not just having the physical amount of burst damage, but also the crowd control, being able to push enemies out of position under the crystal. That has got them the fight, and they will be able to even things out. Sure, they lost the top tier 3 tower, but they've been able to open up all the tier 2 towers, and E2JJ will clear off the enemy jungle as well, giving them a bit more of an advantage moving on. And this game it went from, you know, very NRX favorite to BJK taking the reins, and then NRX strikes first at the tier 3 towers, but right now BJK has the lead again. So this has been a very close fight across both these teams.
Is literally, the gold is like a pendulum clock swinging to and from both NRX and BJK. But you can see what BJK was, what NRX was really hoping. They was hoping for a great team fight up in the Clash lane, and then have those vanguards push the other 2 lanes as well, and then hope to get like an overall positive outcome in those team fights. But it didn't quite work out that way, thanks to the Lamb re-entering that team fight after stopping the vanguards in that mid lane. So it completely reset NRX's complete plan, but Lamb just completely annihilating Derenji there. So down goes the farm laner. So that's a big amount of damage gone. They've now got to rely on the Xiao Qiao to do a lot of damage into these next coming team fights, unless they can wait out that 26 seconds for Derenji to come back from death spawn.
Yeah, Lamb with full item slots right now, already completed the Siege Breaker, meaning that he's able to burst down squishy heroes just so quickly, and he's not very soft himself. He completed most of the defensive items that is required for him to stand against the front lines on the side of NRX, and right now he's just building damage, and they are able to get the Overlord for themselves. The Shadow Vanguard will spawn, providing a bit more of map control, map pressure for the side of BJK as they look to take down a tier 3 tower of their own.
Absolutely, and we have the Tyrant up as well, but obviously they do have the debuff in the jungle for taking one of the jungle camps there. So they've got to make sure that if they are going to take the Tyrant, it needs to be a team effort. But right now, having that Vanguard in your utility, I feel like pushing these lanes and at least getting one higher ground turret is going to be the go-to here for BJK, because they need some sort of cannon spawn minion. Those super minions come through as well. But like I was saying, here's the team effort looking to take the Shadow Tyrant again for BJK.
Lamb just makes short work out of it, but let's take a look at the replay. The destruction of 0307 towards the middle. The replay was so short that you couldn't really see much in itself, but that was just huge amount of physical damage, physical burst coming through from the Lamb, and they did manage to get the Tyrant for themselves, providing them the extra damage buff as well as the shields that will be coming up there, giving them just a bit more of an advantage as they want to take down a tier 2 tower of their own.
Absolutely. I feel like the replay was like, no, we can't do them dirty again. Let's just get back into the interaction, because there's something brewing here. It is definitely the calm before the storm. We see all BJK at the higher ground turrets waiting for that next minion wave to come through. There's nothing to freeze those minion waves on the side of NRX. All they can do is defend. Their backs are against the wall. They need to attack now. They need to be offensive and aggressive with their offense here. But we see that Lam is already in, pushing them into the higher ground turret. There is a killing spree going on right now. Reknar picks up the kill. We see that it is a... Oh, okay. No, it's going to chop over for NRX. So it is a 4-3 trade for NRX. Derenji coming through with a triple kill in true fashion.
Yeah, Xiao Xiao's burst damage at this point of the game is nothing to scoff at. I mean, she basically did so much damage that the DRJ was able to clean up, and right now things are again back basically even. The goal is of course still in favor of BJK, and they did manage to get a tier 2 tower by themselves. But let's take a look at the replay. The Lamb, absolutely beautiful pushback, getting 2 for himself, but here comes the huge damage and the control coming from the Xiao Xiao. Oh, just too much damage, and E2JJ has to be happy that he was able to... Was it Liz or E2JJ that was able to survive with an inch of his health?
Yeah, I feel like it was a bit of a misfortunate misstep there from a BJK, because they had to either take out Little Luke for the healing or try and focus both of the damage dealers. But the way that 0307 and Fu were positioned, it was just a late team fight cleanup there from those two players, which was very well played by NRX to just stop any sort of victory from the BJK getting the first victory within this global competition.
Yeah, no giving up on both sides. NRX will fight till their last breath. So will BJK. That's why they are giving it their all. The game is not over yet. 18 minutes in. We've got about 2 minutes before the final boss spawns out that will help close either side close out the game. But bottom lane is already being pushed out. Will the rotations come in time? No, they will not. They will trade off the Shadow Overlord for the bottom tier 3 tower.
Yeah, I feel like BJK was really hoping that the Byron was going to be a little bit more easier to be handled down in that farm lane. They were looking for a early quick finish, but E2JJ getting wiped out by Derenji again. The positioning of 0307 is immense on the side of NRX. But this is the player that was on about in the introduction. 0307. He has a lot of experience when it comes to Honor Kings, and it's really showing that he's leading his team to a potential victory here. I mean, they're 19 kills to 3. They are just a little behind on the gold, though. However, the pendulum has swung on BJK's side, but they take another higher ground turret. Nicely done by 0307, as I'm bigging him up here. Sunbin, we have Mulan, and we have Lam and Mai here, just looking to stop this Vanguard from doing any damage onto the crystal. However, they do lose the farm lane turret, though, so it's basically little trades. They've got to decide what's more important, and obviously defending the crystal is the most important thing right now, so they will have to let the farm lane fall, which is just unfortunate, and it's going to make it harder for BJK to come back.
Tempest Dragon is up and running, but looks like NRX will not need it to end the game, or will they? They do not lose anyone as of yet. They did have to use the Resurrection to keep their players just up and running, but right now, that will be the name of the game. Attic's already trying to get in position to try and scout things out, making sure that they're not going for the Tyrant. But the sustains coming from the little loop keeps them up and running, keeps them healthy. Orlan throws the backline, trying to burst someone down. Able to bring down the Zero, and Jay that's absolutely huge and brings down the Xiao Xiao as well. The damage dealers from the side of NRX is able to just get chopped down. As it's
still is on the run, but I feel like that was the bait to the Tempest Dragon. They are not looking to take the Tempest Dragon. Still was just there to try and keep NRX still in the game, forgive my pun, but we are seeing E to JJ, and we're seeing 4 of BJK's team running down to the Crystal, and the first victory could potentially be going to BJK here. They are trying to hold on to it. The Super Minions are here, but the Crystal